For so many seniors, the struggle with back pain is not just a passing discomfort, it's a constant shadow, trailing behind every movement, stealing joy from once simple tasks and quietly robbing sleep night after night. You may think it's just a part of getting old, something you have no choice but to accept. But what if that weren't true? What if there were a quiet, ancient practice, something you could do with just your hands and your breath that could gently begin to lift that burden? Tonight, we're going to uncover exactly that, a small but mighty technique rooted in centuries of wisdom, designed to ease your back strain, restore your rest, and help you feel at home in your body again. So, if you've been searching for a simple, natural way to feel better without pills or pain, stay with me. You're about to discover something that could change your nights, and maybe even your life. Of all the aches that come to visit us in old age, back pain is perhaps the most stubborn and unforgiving. It doesn't knock politely before entering. It arrives uninvited, clinging to the lower spine, creeping up the shoulders, or sinking deep into the base of the neck. For many elderly people, it becomes a familiar presence, something they wake up with, carry throughout the day, and go to bed with only to wake up and feel it again. But here's what most don't realize. This pain is not just a natural consequence of aging. It is a warning, a cry from the body that something needs attention, something that can and should be addressed. And unless we listen carefully, it will only grow louder. Back pain in old age is rarely sudden. It's a slow, creeping guest. It begins with a subtle stiffness in the morning, a reluctance of the spine to stretch freely, a sense that standing up from a chair takes just a few seconds longer than it used to. Many seniors brush this off, telling themselves, "It's just age," or "That's normal after 70." But what seems normal is often the result of decades of small habits: poor posture, lack of regular movement, weak core muscles, or the lingering aftermath of injuries from younger years that were never fully healed. Sometimes, it's also because the bones themselves are becoming brittle, osteoporosis, quietly gnawing away at strength, and the joints inflamed with arthritis that disturbs even the gentlest moments of rest. What makes back pain so dangerous for the elderly isn't just the discomfort, it's what it leads to. Pain in the spine limits movement. When you stop moving as much, your muscles weaken further, your joints stiffen even more, and your balance becomes compromised. That's how the risk of falls begins. A single slip, a small misstep, and suddenly, a person who once lived independently is facing hospitalization, surgery, or worse, permanent loss of mobility. And the most tragic part? Many of these cascades start from something as seemingly simple as recurring back pain. But the suffering is not just physical, it seeps into the emotional landscape of old age. When a senior feels pain every time they rise from bed, bend to pick something up, or walk a few steps, a sense of dread builds. They begin to avoid activities they once enjoyed. Gardening is skipped, evening walks become shorter, social visits are postponed. A quiet isolation sets in, accompanied by fatigue, frustration, and sometimes depression. Pain isn't just a bodily sensation, it becomes a thief that steals joy, independence, and peace of mind. And yet, despite the burden it brings, many seniors still suffer in silence. They pop painkillers when it gets unbearable, apply a heating pad for temporary relief, and hope it goes away. But masking the pain without addressing the root cause is like mopping the floor without fixing the leaking pipe. Back pain is not simply a nuisance, it is a message. And the longer it's ignored, the more deeply it etches itself into daily life. So where does the solution lie? First, in understanding the true causes. One major factor behind back pain in older adults is spinal degeneration, the slow erosion of the discs that cushion the vertebrae. As these discs lose water and shrink, the bones may begin to rub against each other, causing inflammation and pain. Another cause is muscle imbalances and atrophy. As we age, especially if we become more sedentary, the muscles supporting our spine weaken. Without that muscular support, the spine carries more load, leading to strain and discomfort. Poor posture, often developed over years of slouching or hunching, puts pressure on the wrong areas of the back and neck. further worsening the pain. Then there's the structural changes that naturally occur with age, the curvature of the spine changing, the narrowing of the spinal canal, spinal stenosis, and the misalignment of vertebrae. All of these can pinch nerves, reduce mobility, and trigger shooting pain that travels down the legs or arms. And beyond the physical, psychological factors like chronic stress or poor sleep can increase pain perception, making even mild backaches feel unbearable. But amidst this bleak landscape, there's hope because, unlike some aspects of aging that are irreversible, many causes of back pain can be managed, improved, and even reversed. Awareness is the first weapon. The moment a senior begins to understand that their back pain is not just a punishment of age, but a signal they can respond to, a doorway opens. Through proper care, movement, and targeted practices, relief is not only possible, it becomes probable. This is why paying attention to pain and acting early is so important. Instead of brushing off the first signs of tightness or discomfort, acknowledging them and seeking gentle, non-invasive solutions can change the course of one's aging journey. Simple stretches, corrective posture habits, strength-building exercises, and especially techniques rooted in traditional medicine like acupressure offer tremendous benefit. And it's in this context that ancient wisdom offers a fascinating key, pressing specific acupressure points, like the governing vessel point. But before diving into that practice, it's vital that we understand just how central the spine and back are to every movement and every emotion. When they suffer, we suffer. But when they're cared for, supported, and gently activated, everything else, mobility, sleep, joy, and confidence begins to return piece by piece. So for anyone in their later years who finds themselves sighing as they sit or wincing as they rise, don't ignore it. That tension in the back is not simply a part of growing old, it's a call for care. And with the right approach, it doesn't have to be a life sentence. It can be the beginning of something better. If the pain in the back is the signal, then understanding the pathways of healing becomes the response. And this is where the governing vessel point enters the story, not as a mystical concept, but as an ancient solution deeply rooted in the wisdom of centuries. In traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, the body is seen not as a collection of isolated parts, but as a flowing network of energy, where everything is connected through channels known as meridians. These meridians carry life force called qi through every organ, muscle, and cell. And among all these pathways, one reigns supreme in the control and nourishment of the spine, the governing vessel. Known in Chinese as Du Mai, the governing vessel is often described as the Sea of Yang Meridians, for it gathers and commands all the energy associated with movement, strength, and outward action. It originates deep in the lower torso and travels up the spine like a central highway of vitality, reaching the top of the head and then descending along the center of the face. This isn't just poetic description, it's a map followed for centuries in acupuncture and acupressure, and it's been used to treat pain, paralysis, fatigue, and even neurological conditions with surprising effectiveness. At the heart of this channel lies a Qian access point, if you will often referred to as the governing vessel point, or GV4, Mingmen. In Western anatomy, this point aligns closely with the space between the second and third lumbar vertebrae, right around the lower back, just above the waistline. But in the language of TCM, GV4 is more than a spot on the body, it is the gate of life, a powerhouse that influences not only the spine but also the kidneys, the adrenal system, and overall vitality. When this point is blocked, energy stagnates, pain sets in, weakness follows. But when it is stimulated through firm, deliberate, mindful pressure, it unlocks a cascade of healing responses that can shift the entire experience of aging. What makes the governing vessel point particularly vital for older adults is its direct connection to the lower back, an area that endures so much wear over the years. This point acts like a valve. When gently pressed or massaged, it helps release built-up tension in the lumbar spine, relaxes surrounding muscles, and allows blood and energy to circulate more freely. For seniors, this can mean relief from the persistent ache that keeps them up at night, a reduction in the tightness that makes simple tasks like tying shoes or climbing stairs feel monumental, and a return of strength that brings back a sense of independence. But this is not just theory or legend, it's a method that has been tried and validated through thousands of years of practical use. Monks in remote temples, martial artists recovering from injury, and elders seeking to maintain health deep into old age have all leaned on this point as part of their daily practice. Even modern studies in acupuncture have begun confirming what ancient practitioners knew, that targeted stimulation of the governing vessel point can enhance circulation, activate endorphins, reduce inflammatory markers, and even help rebalance the nervous system. Imagine, for a moment, an elderly man in his 70s. He struggled for years with lower back, painful, nagging, always there. He's tried pills, heating pads, even physical therapy with mixed results. One evening, guided by a practitioner, he learns to locate this point on his lower back. With the help of his fingers, he presses into the space between his vertebrae, applying steady pressure while breathing slowly. It hurts at first, not sharply, but deeply, as if something old is being stirred. He does it nightly. Within a week, he finds that standing up doesn't take as long. He sleeps more soundly. His steps feel more grounded. He feels more alive. And therein lies the quiet miracle of this practice. It doesn't promise overnight transformation. It doesn't rely on expensive tools or foreign technology. It only asks for patience, for presence, and for the belief that healing is not reserved for the young. With each breath and each press, the body remembers how to restore itself. It's important, however, to approach this practice with care. The governing vessel point lies on the spine, and improper pressure or aggressive manipulation can lead to soreness or discomfort. Seniors are encouraged to use gentle, circular motions at first, warming the area with the palm of the hand before applying more specific pressure with the thumbs. Some may find it easier to use a tennis ball against a wall or lie on a soft surface and apply pressure through positioning. The point can be stimulated for 2 to 5 minutes before bed, always accompanied by slow, deep breathing to help the nervous system relax and absorb the benefits. As this routine becomes a habit, something beautiful happens. The mind begins to associate this practice with comfort and rest. The body begins to respond more quickly. Sleep comes easier, and with it, the healing that sleep enables: tissue repair, muscle relaxation, hormonal balance. The simple act of touching a point on your back becomes a nightly ritual of self-respect, self-care, and inner listening. And this is perhaps the greatest lesson the governing vessel point offers: not just relief from pain, but a reconnection to one's own body. In a world that often teaches the elderly to disconnect, to accept decline without question, this practice says, you can participate in your healing. You can press, breathe, and feel better. You are not helpless. Your body, even in its aging form, is capable of restoration. As night falls and silence returns, let this point become your anchor. Let it be a reminder that beneath the years, beneath the aches, there is still a current of strength flowing quietly within you, waiting, always, to be awakened. The power of the governing vessel point does not merely lie in its location, nor solely in the ancient knowledge that surrounds it, lies in what happens after you begin using it consistently. Because the moment your fingertips press that spot night after night, something changes. Not instantly, not like a magic switch, but slowly, deeply, from the inside out. Pain that once wrapped around the lower back like a cold chain begins to unravel. A sense of warmth trickles in, and movement that once felt restricted begins to feel possible again. And most importantly, the hours of the night once restless, interrupted by tossing, turning, and sighs of frustration, begin to restore their original purpose: deep, uninterrupted, healing sleep. Let us not underestimate what good sleep means, especially in old age. For a younger person, a missed night of sleep might result in a little fatigue or irritability, but for the elderly, sleep is everything. It is when cells repair, when muscles recover, when the immune system fortifies itself, and when the brain resets its chemical balance. Poor sleep weakens all of these systems, accelerating aging from the inside out. And back pain, being one of the most common culprits disrupting sleep, becomes more than just a nuisance. It becomes a silent saboteur of longevity itself. This is why pressing the governing vessel point before bed is so much more than a back pain remedy. It is a gateway to better sleep, and that means better life. It relaxes the nervous system, calming the sympathetic branch that keeps us on edge, in fight or flight mode. As this switch flips, the heart slows down, breathing deepens, and the mind, often busy with thoughts, gradually quiets. For seniors who struggle with anxiety at night, who wake up feeling cold or drenched in sweat, who fear falling asleep because of nightmares or disorientation, this point acts like a bridge, leading them gently from the tension of the day to the stillness of night. And there's more. When this acupoint is activated, the spine doesn't just stop hurting, it begins to breathe. Blood flow increases in the paraspinal muscles, the soft tissues that cling to the vertebrae like ropes of support. These tissues, often stiff from disuse or chronic inflammation, begin to soften. The nerves that emerge from the spinal cord, like tiny rivers that nourish your organs, begin to transmit more freely. For some, this has led to better digestion. For others, an easing of chronic fatigue. For many, it brings something that is hard to define, but impossible to ignore: relief with a capital R. And here is where the practice gains power. It is accessible. You don't need to wait in a clinic. You don't need a doctor's prescription. You don't need fancy machines. Just your own hand, your own breath, your own commitment to showing up each night, touching this point, and listening to what your body says. Many who've tried this nightly routine begin to notice a pattern. They fall asleep faster, they stay asleep longer, and they wake up less stiff. Instead of groaning when getting out of bed, they begin to stretch. Instead of reaching for painkillers, they reach for a cup of tea. Their day begins not with dread but with strength. For elderly individuals who've come to believe that pain and discomfort are a permanent part of aging, this discovery feels almost like a rebellion, a quiet protest against the idea that aging equals decline. Because when sleep improves, everything else improves. Memory sharpens, mood lifts, even the desire to engage with life returns. A good night's rest is not just about shutting down, it is about being reborn the next day with energy, purpose, and clarity. And the governing vessel point is the first domino in that chain. There is also something profoundly symbolic about the location of this point. It lies near the lumbar spinal place of support, a place of burden. It is where we carry our past, both physically and emotionally. For many elderly people, back pain is not just about muscles, or discomfort is about years of responsibility, lifting children, carrying groceries, working long hours, bearing stress, losing loved ones, holding in grief. The spine remembers all of this, and pressing the governing vessel point each night is like telling your body, it's okay to let go now. You've carried enough. You've done enough. Now rest. And the body, so often ignored or pushed through pain, responds, not with instant transformation, but with gradual trust. Like a garden that has been neglected for seasons, it begins to bloom again when tended to with care. Pressing this point becomes an act of love, not just self-care. It says to the aging body, you are still worthy of attention. You are still worthy of healing. Some elderly people who commit to this practice even begin to develop a spiritual relationship with it. They make it a nightly ritual, not just to ease physical tension, but to reconnect with themselves. They light a candle, breathe in essential oils, sit in silence, and in those quiet minutes before sleep, pressing that one point becomes a time of reflection, gratitude, and surrender. It becomes a moment of stillness in a life that may have been filled with movement, worry, and noise. This is how healing really happens, not just in the tissues, but in the soul. So, if you're watching this video, and you or someone you love has been battling back pain or struggling to sleep at night, don't just brush it aside as part of getting old. Let your hands become healers. Let your breath be medicine, Let your spine, long burdened, finally receive the attention it has earned through years of service. The governing vessel point is there. It's always been there. You just need to press and let the healing begin. And now that we've awakened the importance of the governing vessel point, and you've begun to understand the quiet power it holds in transforming pain into relief, restlessness into sleep, we arrive at the most crucial moment, the how. Because knowledge without action is like medicine left on the shelf. For all its promise, the governing vessel point will remain just a concept unless you take that next step, locating it, activating it, and practicing with intention. The good news? You can do it tonight. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need years of training. You just need your hands, your breath, and a few quiet minutes before you sleep. And perhaps most importantly, you need the willingness to believe that your body, despite its agues, still capable of remarkable things. So let's begin with location. The governing vessel point, known in traditional texts as GV4 or Mingmen, which translates poetically to the gate of life, is found on your lower back, exactly between the second and third lumbar vertebrae. Don't worry if that sounds confusing. You don't need an X-ray or a ruler to find it. Here's a simple way. Place your hands around your waist, where your pants typically sit. That's your waistline. From there, trace your thumbs inward toward your spine. Run your fingers up the spine, just a bit, no more than 1 or 2 finger widths, and you'll feel a small depression between 2 bones. That's it. That's your doorway. Once you find it, the next step is activation, but do not rush. The body responds best when approached with kindness. Start by warming the area. Rub your palms together for about 10 to 15 seconds until they generate heat. Then place them gently on your lower back. Feel the warmth sink into the muscles. You might already sense a release, even before pressing a single point. This warmth alone signals to the nervous system. It's time to relax, time to heal. After warming, use your thumbs to apply light pressure directly on the point. It should not be sharp or painful. Think of it as a deep, steady press firm, enough to feel, but gentle enough to allow your muscles to receive. Hold the pressure for 10 seconds. Release, then repeat. Do this cycle for about 3 to 5 minutes. As you do, breathe slowly and deeply, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let each breath carry you deeper into stillness. You may begin to feel tingling, or a wave of relaxation spreading across your lower back. This is the body responding. This is Qi beginning to move. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You don't have to stop with your fingers. Some elderly people prefer using a warm compress over the point. Others gently roll a tennis ball against the wall, positioning it so it presses right into GV4 as they lean back. There are even acupressure mats, or back pillows, designed to stimulate this exact location passively as you lie down. The method matters less than the consistency. Whether by finger, ball, warmth, or tool, the important thing is doing it every night. Because with each session, the body learns. The muscles begin to anticipate release. The nerves quiet their alarms. The spine begins to feel supported again. And that, over time, creates a cascade of healing that no pill can replicate. But let's not forget the mental aspect. Many people think pain is purely physical, but science and ancient wisdom tell us otherwise. Your mind plays a huge role in how pain is felt and how relief is received. That's why this nightly practice must be accompanied by awareness. Don't just do it, feel it. Tune into your body. Talk to it. Say, "Thank you for carrying me all these years. I'm here now. I'm listening." This may sound strange, even silly, but it is not. The body stores emotion, trauma, memories, fatigue. And when you speak with intention while treating it with care, it listens, it responds, it heals faster. There's also a hidden beauty to this practice that few notice at first. It reintroduces agency into your life. So many seniors feel like they're losing control of their health, their mobility, their independence. But this simple act of finding, pressing, and healing one small point on your back reminds you that you still hold power. You are not at the mercy of age. You are not a victim of pain. You are a participant in your well-being. That belief, that shift in mindset, is perhaps the greatest medicine of all. Of course, there are precautions. If you have a spinal injury, recent surgery, or experienced numbness or shooting pain, always consult with a healthcare professional before starting. But for most seniors, this is a low-risk, high-reward technique, and it doesn't interfere with medications. It doesn't clash with other treatments. It enhances everything. Even physical therapists have begun integrating similar pressure techniques into modern rehab routines because they've seen what it can do. Still, some people may try once or twice and give up, saying, "It doesn't work for me." But healing doesn't happen overnight. The stiffness and strain didn't arrive in one day, it built up over years. Give yourself the same patience you gave to raising children, to building a career, to surviving life's storms. You deserve to heal, and you deserve to do it gently, one breath, one press at a time. In fact, what's most profound about this method isn't just the relief, it's what it represents. At a time in life when everything seems to be slowing down, when loss becomes more common than gain, here is a practice that adds something back. Not just flexibility, not just comfort, but confidence, dignity, a sense of return. So tonight, when the world has quieted, when the lights are low and the night has stretched its arms across your window, take those few minutes for yourself. Find the governing vessel point. Breathe. Press. Wait. Listen. Let your back know that it is no longer carrying the weight of the world alone. Let it rest. Let it heal. And now that you've begun to feel the quiet miracle unfold each night through your own fingertips, that sacred few minutes of warmth and breath and presence at the governing vessel point, you might wonder, what more can I do to make this healing last? Because once you've tasted relief, even a small taste, you don't want it to slip away. Once the pain begins to ease, the sleep returns. The stiffness gives way to stretch. There's a hunger to preserve it, to protect it, to build upon it. And here's the truth. Healing isn't one single action, it is a lifestyle. The governing vessel point opens the door, yes, but to keep walking through it, you must nourish the body in other ways. The point is powerful, but paired with smart, simple daily habits, its effect can grow beyond imagination. One of the most vital companions to this nightly practice is movement, not aggressive or punishing, but gentle, deliberate motion that tells the body, I still want to live fully. For seniors, the body often begins to lock up simply because we stop asking it to move. The spine stiffens not only from age, but from disuse. Muscles weaken not just from degeneration, but from silence. So each morning, as the sun rises and the stiffness of the night still clings to your bones, rise with intention. Begin with a simple stretch. Raise your arms overhead. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly as you bend forward. Rotate your shoulders. Tilt your hips side to side. Feel the way your spine responds. If you can, take a 5-minute walk, even around the house. Let the rhythm of your steps nourish the spinal flow that the governing vessel point helps unlock. Another powerful habit is hydration. You'd be surprised how many cases of back pain are worsened by dehydration. The discs in your spine are like little water balloons. They cushion each vertebra, absorbing shock and supporting movement. But as we age, they lose water, flatten, and become less flexible. Drinking enough water each day, especially after waking and before bed, helps rehydrate these discs, reduce inflammation, and support circulation to the spinal tissues. A warm cup of herbal tea before your nightly acupressure session can be both soothing and beneficial. It turns the routine into a ritual, hydrating the body while calming the mind. Equally important is posture. No matter how often you press the governing vessel point, if you spend your day hunched over, slouching in soft chairs, or craning your neck down to your phone or book, you are inviting the pain back in. Begin to notice how you sit, stand, and walk. Try placing a small cushion behind your lower back when sitting. When walking, imagine a string gently pulling you upward from the crown of your head, helping you align. When lying down, consider placing a pillow under your knees to support your spine's natural curve. These are small changes, but they send a powerful message to your body. We are not working against you. We are working with you. And let's not forget the role of mental habits. Just as emotional stress can live in the muscles of the neck and back, so can peace live in the breath. Each night, as you press the governing vessel point, pair the practice with a mental release. With each exhale, imagine you are letting go of the day's weight-old regrets, lingering worries, disappointments, even grief. Pain is not always just physical. It is often emotional residue, trapped in the body like static in the air. Allowing your mind to soften and release this energy magnifies the healing of your physical form. Nutrition, too, plays its role. A diet rich in anti-inflammatory foods, leafy greens, fatty fish like mackerel and sardines, turmeric, ginger, nuts and seed shells reduce swelling in the joints and tissues around your spine. At the same time, avoiding excess sugar, fried foods, and processed meats keeps the body's healing systems clear and unburdened. Think of your meals as medicine. Every bite should help you stand taller, move freer, rest deeper. Some elders even choose to journal after their acupressure session. It might seem unrelated at first, but putting thoughts on paper, reflections on the day, gratitude for the body's efforts, goals for tomorrow helps shift the nervous system into parasympathetic mode. Rest and restore. This is the same state your body needs to deepen the effects of pressing GV4. These small entries become a map of progress. Over weeks, you begin to notice changes. Less stiffness this morning, slept through the night. Back pain only 3 out of 10 today. And you realize, slowly but surely, you are reclaiming your body piece by piece. Another tool many elders find helpful is warmth, not just from your hands, but from nature. Sunlight in the early morning energizes the spine and boosts vitamin D, which is critical for bone health. A warm bath in the evening with Epsom salts can relax tight muscles and prepare your body for acupressure. Even a heating pad on your lower back before pressing GV4 can enhance circulation and make the process more comfortable. Now, some might say this is too much, that it takes time, effort, consistency. But ask yourself this: how many years did your back carry you without complaint? Through the raising of children, the lifting of groceries, the climbing of stairs, the building of a life, it has been faithful to you. Isn't it time to return the favor? The beauty of this lifestyle is that it doesn't require radical change. You don't need to run marathons or fast for days. You simply need to return to the basics, to yourself. Each action you take outside of the nightly GV4 practice becomes a supporting actor, strengthening the lead role. And when you commit, even just a little, the results compound. One night of sleep becomes 2. One day with less pain becomes a week, then a month. Then one day you catch yourself smiling, not because the pain is gone entirely, but because you finally feel in control. Healing is not a destination, it is a rhythm, a relationship, a daily vow. And if you make that vow gently and sincerely, the body will respond. Every night you press the governing vessel point. Every cup of water you drink, every breath you take with intention, you're not just treating a symptom, you're building a future. A future where aging doesn't mean surrendering. A future where rest is deep, mornings are joyful, and your spine no longer whispers in pain but sings in strength. So don't stop here. Let this be the beginning. Let this one small habit ripple out into your entire life. Let your body know that even in the winter of your years, the fire of vitality still burns, and you, dear elder, still hold the match. And now, as you finish this journey with me, remember this: healing doesn't end when the video does, it begins with what you do next. The governing vessel point is not just a technique, it's an invitation to return to your body with care and intention. So tonight, before bed, take that quiet moment. Press, breathe, release. And in the comments below, I invite you to share your experience. Was this your first time trying it? Did you feel warmth, relief, or even a shift in your sleep? Your story may inspire someone else to begin. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because your health journey deserves a community that walks with you. Sleep well, heal deeply, and may your nights be filled with peace.